And good morning, you beautiful people. We are back at it with another morning sketch. Morning live stream, morning sketch. What I'm gonna do is finish this one off, hopefully today. So if you've been sticking around for this series, you'll know the origin of this character. Well, maybe not the origin, but you'll know that it's a continuation from before. Almost like what are they called? A storyboard. So I draw this characters like him, facing these different monsters. But one thing I haven't been doing is capturing the monsters from different perspectives. I usually just do one monster in one perspective and then move on to the next one. But something that I've learned recently is once you've drawn something from imagination, draw it from different perspectives so you get a clearer visual library of what you've created. And I thought that was a quite interesting idea. And you can do this for everything. It doesn't even have to be things from imagination. And one thing I noticed that it's quite difficult for me to orientate objects into different perspectives than the ones I'm comfortable with. And that might be something that everyone faces with unless you've trained this or you come to it intuitively. But from the experience that I've foregone, it has been quite a learning process, which is always fun to work on the things that you're not strong with. Thank you so much. A.watching 5299. Appreciate that. So, the monster in question that we are doing a perspective on is this one. You can check it out in the previous lives. I think I have 3 20-minute streams on it. Roughly 20 minutes given the time I take for breaks and things. So all in all, maybe an hour's worth of sketching on live. I think I've done a little bit off of live as well. But yeah, so not really thinking too much at the moment about what's going on because there's not really much to think about. I've already got the shapes down, and we looked at this in the last episode as well, was just sketching it all out and getting the big shapes in. So when I come fresh into the studio, I already know where everything is. I don't have to think about creation. I already did. I think everyone should do this at least once a day. Sketch from imagination, sketch something new. Carry something small like this. So I already did something this morning, right? I can work on that another time. I can keep it as is, So my imagination has been, the muscle has been used. So I'm not too caught up with creating something new once I'm in the workspace. I already have something that I can work on that's preordained. And with that being said, I can just kind of work on the fundamentals without too much hesitation. You know, what does this creature look like? Oh, it has the layers of its shell. So let's work on the core shadows for the layers of the shell. This is just the thinking process I'm going through. Everyone might have a different process. This is just what has worked and is working currently. Now, I might even switch to a thicker pen. This is 0.5. See if I can find a pen that has a bit more, almost 3 times the size. Go 0.2, that's a 0.05. 4 times. Just to get these big bits here. To really I mean, it's essentially the same amount, isn't it? Maybe it's not worth switching so quickly. Anyway, doesn't matter too much. We'll keep it handy for when we don't want to do the deeper shadows. But he also, we're going to come from a light of that this tentacle is on the floor, but I don't know if it really matters too much, because you won't really be able to tell unless we put plants or something around it to make it look like it's on the floor. So we're just going to keep that in mind. Give some more shadows underneath the shell and the tentacle. And essentially just thinking out loud. Make it a bit entertaining for the thought process of what might go into something like this. A lot of times there actually won't be much going on. Just kind of seeing what needs to be fixed and fixing it. Like the harder boundaries. And yeah, just kind of putting words to the motion. Yes, it is a wizard. Lyric Brandt. Hello, Ashley. How are you? We're working on a wizard defeating a monster. And we'll get into what the monster is. You can check out the past live streams if you want to see a different perspective of the monster. But for now, we're just going to keep working on him to get some stronger values around the shell. Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate it. How's your day been so far? Where I'm at the moment, it's very cold. Cold and rainy, so I'm sheltered inside the studio this morning. Had a couple cups of coffee this morning. That's good to hear. Now we're going to draw in some scaly shapes, or dot them in, just so we have an idea of where the scales may land. And the trick with scales is actually not drawing the scales, but drawing the space between the scales. And it kind of sounds counterintuitive, but once we do it, you'll get what I mean. And then here, we're actually going to have ridges instead of scales, if we want to stay true to the previous design. Almost like a rib cage coming down. But the way I came up with this design was actually from a sea urchin. I was looking at a lot of references from a sea urchin. In case you're curious. So we're going to get to work on the scales here. I'm going to put a few main ones. Around and about. And I'm not too cautious. This is where you can kind of let your hand run free. The more random, the better, you know, is what I say. The more chaotic, great. It's just paper. And you can kind of see the texture already coming alive. Hello, Addison. Good to see you again. How's your morning been? Or afternoon? It's morning here in Australia. Around about 9 a.m. It's a guesstimation on my part. I haven't actually checked the clock. But it's rainy and cold. Despite popular belief of Australia's temperatures. It's winter at the moment, so got the wet season. Do some more scales over here. We're going to do the top rung completely filled with scales. Second rung completely filled with scales. And the third one is going to be different. It's going to be ridges going this way. Add a bit of diversity in the shell, because maybe it has a bit more flex because of the tentacles. Who knows? We're making this up as we go. But I'm not giving too much thought, as I've said earlier. Just kind of throwing the pen at the paper, seeing what sticks, and maybe the scale gets kind of hidden towards here. Don't really see much of it. But just where the main viewing point is, so we don't forget, we're just going to add all the main shapes early, and then we can go into the details a little bit later. There's no rush to detail. There's so much we need to cover down here. It's almost 1/3 of the page. You know, this probably fits in here perfectly. So yeah, I'd say about 1/3 of the page that needs to get filled. Oh, did I say Ashley twice earlier? I meant Addison. Yeah, I do tend to repeat myself. So if I do, just call me out on it and I'll... Because there is just a lot of repetition when it comes to drawing. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets manifested in my speech as well. And I think the shell's gonna have kind of like a cliff face. Not like a cliff, but I don't know how to explain it verbally. It's gonna have an overhang. That's the word I'm looking for. But because we're closer up, I had this when I was doing the first iteration of it, but since we're closer up, it's going to be more dramatic of an overhang because we're closer to it, so we can see it easier. And same thing here, that's why I shaded it, to remind myself that there's going to be an overhang. Just like so. And then we're going to keep the scales even. Is someone okay? Some rummaging going out outside. Hopefully they're all right. And then we haven't actually shaded this horn yet. We may as well. So when I'm thinking about shading this horn, it's a big piece in the project. But an important piece. I don't know if it's too big, but thinking about a cone shape or a cylinder shape, I've got that in my imagination. How does it look like when it's shaded? And where's the light coming from? I think everything's kind of shaded this way. The light's coming, kind of coming this way. So that's where the shadows are going to be mainly. Kind of under here. Doesn't have to be exact from the beginning. Just has to have a general idea. We're going to add some more details to everything. And then we're going to do a coat. So we're going to do a coat or a wash over the whole thing. So now the parts that are already shaded are going to be even darker. And the parts that aren't shaded, doesn't matter if I go outside the lines a little bit, the parts that aren't shaded are just a little bit lighter. You can kind of see that effect. And then if you want to blend it, you can kind of see there's a bit of a hard gap here. I don't know if it comes up on camera, but you can blend that a little bit by shading up from there or across from there. Kind of hides it a bit easier. Or you can add some shapes in there to make it look like it's bent. You know, there's no real mistake that you can make at this point that's going to be super detrimental. All in all, pretty good starting point. I'm happy with the amount of progress we're making on this one. So I'm gonna dive into the ridges now on this side, just so we can get a feel for it. See what it's like. So we're gonna do the first ridge actually around the horn. I'm gonna dot it in first, just to get a generalized shape. And if you're really timid about not wanting to put something in, you're very anxious, oh, will this look good, will it not look good, just dot it in, because you can really be light on the dots. You can be very, very cautious when it comes to the dots. You can, or scarce. You can put 3, you can put 5, you know, just to get the... And it doesn't really finalize anything, it just gets a shape. You can look at it from afar. Oh, is that the right direction? Is that the right perspective? Not that it matters all that much, as long as you're getting pen to paper, having fun with it. And then what we're doing kind of segments this way. Yeah. Almost like how teeth look and really badly drawn skulls. It's kind of the effect. I shouldn't say badly drawn, but like, you know, when you're just learning out how to draw teeth and you like draw it like this. It's kind of what I'm imagining. Not that it's bad, it's just what I'm thinking of. We might do all of them in dots now that I'm thinking about it. Fun texture to work with. Already got the dots in there, so it kind of makes sense. And then it changes from the chaotic scale section to something a bit more organized. Some organized chaos. And I can be a bit more accurate with the shading later on. Now this part is kind of a bit of a slow burn. There's not too much going on. I speed it up. With some proper shading. Proper shading? Thicker shading? Quicker shading. I don't know if any of this is proper or better than other. Now looking at it, I have a feeling that it needs to kind of be more like this. A bit more defined in the ridge. Now if I stand up and kind of walk away and have a look at it from far, it's starting to really take shape. Now my other idea, before we come towards the end of today's episode, is to really draw out this tentacle on the floor. Maybe it's wrapped up down this way. Just sort of fill in this space that the horn is taken up. I'm gonna have a quick break, bit of a stretch. What time is it now? 9:30. Okay, we're back from our short break. We're gonna go for another 10-15 minutes and then I'm gonna have another short break. Get these final ridges sorted. I'm gonna have a quick break, drink some water, get a bit of sun. I think that's pretty important. It's not staying seated for too long. Having regular breaks. I know it's not great for the viewer or viewer retention and whatnot, but honestly, in the long term, I'm doing this for no one else but myself and my own mental health, and with mental health comes physical health, and I don't want to put that at a detriment just to get a couple more people to tune in. You know? That's my thought process. Maybe you see it differently. That's okay. That's why we're human. go. We've done the left side of the shell. So I'm glad we finished this today, because it adds such a big piece of the puzzle, this bit. And it is just a recurring pattern. Like, it's not much creative freedom, but in a sense, it is as well. Now, the other idea is for the right side, are we going to add the other tentacle? Are we going to leave it be? That's the thought process. Do we leave it be? Do we add a second? I'm just going to have a quick break and kind of mosey around for 5 minutes. Maybe get some sunlight. And maybe play some music. But all in all, I might come back to finish a little bit more and then end today's episode of Morning Sketches. Oh, I'm going to finish it there. Thank you for joining. If you stuck around till the end, thank you so much. You can show some support by subscribing, leaving a like, commenting on what you enjoyed or your thoughts or what you'd like to see more of. Every little bit helps. Thank you for being awesome. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next iteration of the sketch. See you.